What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're looking at the Bugs 3 here, and we're going to be doing a little bit of upgrade to some of the mods I've done to it. I haven't been out flying much lately. It's been absolute crap, the weather outside, and I'm still looking at another 2 weeks of poor weather for what the forecast is showing right now. So that gives me the opportunity to get on the bench here when I have some free time and do a little work. So like I said, we've got the Bugs 3 here. And what I previously did to the Bugs 3 is I took one of the stock LED mounts there, the front LED, and I installed a 1200 TVL camera in there. And I love the way it looks. It looks great, kind of hidden there. It looks like it was always meant to be there, but the footage is not that great from it. The camera is not as good as I hoped it would be. So I'd always planned on switching that out, and today is going to be that day. Well, let's open it up here and take a look at what I did in here. So we've got the transmitter right there, antenna running down actually through the leg, through a 45-degree connector on there, and then the antenna running out. So I have like good connection with the antenna with it being on the bottom like that. So the plan is we're going to keep the actual transmitter the same. We're going to replace that camera. And what I have here is I have this little Runcam. I picked this up, I believe, late spring, early summer this year. And it was on clearance, and I can't quite remember what I paid for it. It was something like $13, $14 Canadian. And it was a crazy deal. I just checked it out this morning, and it's still listed, but no longer available. They're sold out. I will put the link on it if you want to see some of the specs on this, but it was purchased off Banggood, but currently unavailable due to it being sold out. So opening it up here, it's just a little guy. See, just a little guy. It's a small one, but it fits in between the stock opening without having to hack it out. I'm not a big fan of hacking it out for the cameras. I want something that fits in there nice and looks nice, and I think this is going to do the trick. The size of this is perfect. We can actually take a look and see anything else in here that's interesting. Comes with a little baggie. Comes with the adapter here, so you could actually mount it to the larger mounts for an original, like the larger size Runcam. This would be the spacing it would need for one of its mounts. So you could just mount the little guy in there if that's what you choose to, and also comes with the little mount for this camera here, and obviously your wires, your screws, washers are all in the bag. So that's good. I'm not even sure if I'm going to use any of the included mounts, maybe the included screws. We'll figure that out shortly here. I actually don't know how I'm going to mount it yet, and that's something we're going to figure out while I'm working on it here. So we'll put the Runcam aside, and I guess the first thing I want to do here is I'm just going to get this camera out of here and get this all set up to look at installing the Runcam. Okay guys, so I've got the camera out now. Put that aside. I think we're going to be using the same harness here. So I'm going to pull that out, and we'll keep this harness, because that's actually the harness for the transmitter here. We'll put that aside. Here's the harness for the camera. We're going to put that aside for now. That was the harness for the Runcam here. And I think the next thing I have to do is just kind of we'll actually pull the transmitter right out of here too. Alright, so how am I going to mount this? Ideally, I'm going to mount it right in there, like so. But I don't quite see how I'm going to make it work yet, because I have no way of drilling any holes in there to do that. So we're going to have to come up with something here. I might have to actually use the included mount somehow that came with it, and mount that in the backside here possibly. So I'm going to figure that out, and once I figure it out, I will share with you guys how it's going to work. Okay, I think I've got it figured out how I'm going to get this mounted now. What I've come up with, and I was looking at this brainstorming, I was looking at the two posts here that attach the LED, and I noticed that these two posts are in line with that. And if I took the LED, it'll work on those posts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the LED out of this. I'm going to cut this straight across and make myself a mounting bracket to where I can mount the plate here, the mounting bracket for the Runcam, to this LED mounting bracket, and then I should be good, and that should set us right around exactly where I want to be there. So I'm going to get right into that and hack this thing up and make it work. Oh, one thing I wanted to show you was I have a little trick I do, and I've shown it in the past, but you've got to be able to cut the threads into the plastic posts there, and they're not as heavy duty as the plastic posts that are for the LED. So what I typically do when I'm cutting in new threads is I'll take the screw, I'll heat it up like that, so I almost melt my threads in. And I can show you on another one right here, a post I haven't touched yet. Basically just line it up like that, and then I just start turning it in. And I might have to do it a couple times just to get the threads going. I've got a couple threads cut in there now, and I just kind of heat up that screw, get it nice and hot. And then I just screw it in, line it up. And screw it in. And see, I've now cut the threads in for that post if I were to use that post. This is how I did my Bugs 2 body. When I did the body change, I noticed that none of the screws were going in nice, so I ended up heating up the screws and cutting all the threads in, and it worked quite well and very easy. No broken posts with that method. Anyways, we're going to get right into it here. We're going to hack this LED up and make it work for a mounting bracket for the Runcam. Alright, so we've got the LED mount all hacked up now, ready to use as the Runcam mount. Next thing is to attach the actual bracket for the Runcam to the front of that plastic mount there. So I'm going to figure out what we're going to use for screws for that, and we'll get that mounted, and then we'll stick it into the Bugs 3 here and make sure it all works properly. And I think we're going to be just fine without having to hack any of this front out and just keep it nice and stock looking at the front there. I've pre-drilled 2 holes into the LED mount here that correspond with the mounting holes for the Runcam. So we're going to get the bracket here attached now and get the Runcam mounted and get this thing into the Bugs 3. Alright, so we're ready to put this in. It's a little bit tight, like it's close. It'll fit if I put pressure, but I'm not going to do that. We're going to ream it out a little bit on each side. It won't be visible, but it'll just give me enough clearance to allow the bracket to fit in without putting too much pressure on it. Alright, so all I did was take some of the depth out of there from the plastic, taking some of the thickness out of there. I didn't do anything to the actual opening itself. It's still exactly the same. And now, hopefully with that, I should be able to slide this in just like that. And no pressure, everything's lined up nice. Alright guys, we've got the harness all made up now. I think it's time we get that hooked up to the camera, to the transmitter here, and get this thing back together and fire it up. One thing I did notice, and I just changed around, I had the camera upside down, so we've corrected that and we should be good now. So we're only using the video, the positive and the negative on the actual harness here. So we'll plug that in right to the camera to start with and check our clearances. Make sure it's the right way there. There we go. And everything's, the plan is to run everything through the actual LED opening, the circle there that the LED would have been in, which I think is going to work fine. Okay, next step, I think we'll get the bugs down here straight and we'll get this mounted into the bugs. And we should be good. There should be enough clearance after reaming that front out. There we go. Perfect. Everything went in there quite nicely. Let's screw it into place here. There we go, and we should still have the ability to tilt it, and I don't think we're going to need to tilt it any more of an angle than that. That's about where we max out. I could cut out more of the actual LED bracket. I prefer not to, but I think we're all right with that. That's a pretty decent angle there, so I think that that should work for us. If not, once I do the test run, then we'll go from there and figure it out. We need to pull that transmitter in here now. We'll get the antenna hooked up. We'll plug that into here. We were upside down. Yeah, there we go. So where I'm pulling power from, and I did go over this in the original video I did when I put an FPV camera in here, is I'm just pulling power off the first 2 pins of this 3-pin connector here. That's your camera plug right there. So it works good for the transmitter. And I just have a little 2-pin connector on there, and we're only getting in there on those first 2 pins, just like that. That 3rd pin is just left open. Alright, and the last thing I want to do before I finish putting this together is I always keep these little foam blocks from packaging, and I've cut one up right here to fit the space back here to take any vibration, because there's a little bit of movement in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to squeeze this, kind of close it up a bit, and then we're just going to shove it in there quickly and it'll take up all the space. At least that's the plan here, is to take up some of that space, and see, now there's no movement, and hopefully that little bit of foam there will prevent any shakiness on the camera when we're using it, because there was a little bit of play. It feels great now. And what I want to do is put a little bit of glue there, right on here. Like that, and I'm just going to stick the transmitter down to it. And I'll wait for that to dry for a minute. Then we'll just tidy up the wires a bit, and we'll put the cover back on and we'll be good to go. Alright guys, we're all finished up installing the Runcam on the Bugs 3 here. I think everything went quite well. I think the mount works out quite well. So I think the next step on this thing, we'll get the cover back on here. I'm not going to put the old cover back on. There's not much wrong with it. It's got some battle wounds on it, but we're going to freshen it up with a brand new cover here, top cover. So we'll put that on. Snap that into place. Take a quick look at things here. It looks pretty damn good. I like the angle we have on the camera there. So when we have that nice fast flying going on there with an extreme tilt on the Bugs 3, because it tilts pretty far there, I think we'll plane out pretty good with the angle I have on the camera there. little front view here. You can see the foam in the background there, the white foam. That doesn't bother me. That's fine. I think everything fit pretty damn good there. So I think the next step here, let's fire this thing up. Let's get some power to it. There we go. And you may notice I have some blue LEDs on the bottom here. That was a mod I did quite some time ago there. And let's pull in the modded Bugs 3 transmitter here. We'll fire up the actual receiver for the FPV there. And there we go, guys. Camera works. We've got some telemetry on the screen here from the Runcam. That's awesome. I like that. I think we'll put that aside. Everything looks great. Might need to focus it a little bit, but I'll do that later. Alright guys, featured on the sign this episode is J-Drone. I'm sure you've heard of him. I'm sure you've already checked out his channel. If not, get on over there, check it out. He's got a fantastic selection of everything, including Bugs 3 content, mods, you name it, it's on there. I enjoy the channel. I think you would enjoy it too. And for myself, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Join the Van City Army. Let's get this channel growing. And remember, don't be a stranger. We'll see you on the next one. See ya.